We see all that snow on the ground, making it a little bit less appealing to work in your yard, but winter is actually a great time to prune our deciduous trees. Now, these are trees like oaks and maples, for example, that lose their leaves each fall. Joining us now with important information about pruning the right way is Emily Swihart with the Illinois Extension Office. Emily, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thanks for being here. So we're getting started in 2025 with pruning our trees, which is, a necessary thing to just get out there and do it. But there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do it, and that can actually make a really big difference.
It can make a huge difference. So trees in our landscape are the longest lived and the largest plants, right? So this means all the investment that we are putting into them, so financial, time, energy, is the outcomes or the return on the investment can be either maximized or minimized compared to the other plants in our landscape. And so I have a huge passion for trees. I think that we need to invest more in them. But like you said, there's a few different things that we can do that can either really help the health and the longevity of our trees or hurt them.
Right.
So I'm very happy to be here today because January, maybe not everybody's favorite gardening season.
No.
But right now, for deciduous trees is a really good time because they are dormant.
Okay.
You can see the bone structure. You can see, like all the leaves have fallen off, so you can see the branches. But also some of the pest threats that would be preying on our trees once we create this wound, which is what we're doing when we're pruning them, are also dormant. And so it gives trees a bit of an advantage in terms of preparing to seal a wound before those pest pressures develop.
Okay, so. And it's something that you had noted was this is especially important for oaks because there's a threat of oak wilt. Can you describe what that is and how we could kind of be avoiding that?
So oak wilt, unfortunately, is a disease of all oak trees. So it doesn't matter if you have a red oak, a white oak, a bur oak, a swamp white. Like all of our favorite oaks are susceptible to oak wilt, and it's extremely fatal. Especially in the red oaks, but white oaks will succumb to it eventually. We don't have really good treatment options. So prevention of your tree getting oak wilt is the best practice that we can recommend right now. And it enters the vascular system, the internal structure of a tree, through wounds, which, like I said, we're creating wounds when we prune our oak trees.
Right.
So the vectors, the insects that transfer oak wilt from tree to tree are dormant right now. So that's why, especially for our oak trees, we want to be pruning right now.
Okay, so maybe the most important takeaway is how to prune. So you have actually two key tips for pruning properly today. And I will say, I think that's a big part of it, and I think that's where the avoidant, comes in for a lot of people, is if you're not super well versed in horticulture like yourself or something, people just go, eh, and they leave it, or maybe they think I'll just hire somebody to do this for me or something like that. But this is good stuff to know for yourself, and it's not that hard to grasp.
It's really not, but you could really mess up a tree.
Sure. Fair enough.
So first, I do want to emphasize safety. Keep your feet on the ground. Use tools you're comfortable using. Chainsaws are really fun to use. They make really quick work of it, but they are really dangerous. So I really recommend using a couple of my favorite tools here. I've got a handsaw and a hand pruner. Where we got the camera? There we go. So these are just handheld tools. You can see they're well loved. Keep them sharp. Use these, and these tools should be adequate for the size of pruning that we're doing. So it should be smaller. We should be pruning along the way of trees growing, and so it should be smaller branches we're removing. So first I want to show on this sample here what we're looking for. If you're removing an entire limb, which is usually what we're doing, there's a couple of different things I want us to identify. So right here you can see this swelling. I hope the camera can zoom in. So right in here where the trunk and the branch meet, this is called the branch collar, and there's a swelling that goes around here. Inside of this swelling here is specialized tissue that will help seal the tree over. We used to do flush cuts, which was just like straight down the trunk. We don't do that anymore. There will be some plant material left on there when we're removing the branch, because that will help seal over the tree. Right? And so I kind of drew a line where you would want to make, where you would want to make your cut. And then you can also see.
I can see how it's different than what we may have used to do.
Yep. And this picture shows it too. On more mature trees, it's usually more pronounced, but it's there whether you can see it or not. And so just kind of cut outside of that branch collar.
Got it.
If you're removing a larger limb, there's a 3-point pruning cut that you want to do so that you don't rip the bark, because if you damage the bark on the trunk, there's not a lot we can do to help protect the tree. It's pretty damaging. So It's a very simple cut to make. You just make 3 cuts. One is on the underside, and this right here you can see it too. So you go on the outer side of the limb about a foot from where you're going to make your final cut.
Okay.
Your first cut is up underneath. Your second cut is outside of that, and you can see here where like the bark ripped off.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to prevent it from doing, is ripping the bark on the trunk. This doesn't matter because we're removing it.
Yeah.
So this is protecting the trunk, and then you make your final cut here. You're just removing weight from the limb.
Oh, that makes sense. And making all of that a little bit easier.
Yep.
Okay, and what was that called? 3-point?
Yep, a 3-point pruning cut.
3-point pruning cut.
Yep.
And all this information, too, we'll make available to people online. But for anybody that is interested in learning more about trees, how to care for them, there's actually a webinar coming up, and it goes on for several weeks.
Yep.
So 6 weeks, and here's the information about it. So talk a little bit about this webinar and what we're going to be learning.
Yeah, so this is, like you said, a 6-week webinar. It starts January 15th.
Okay.
And the audience that we're targeting is anybody interested in trees. So whether you're caring for trees in your backyard or you're doing it professionally, this is for you. What we wanted to do is we wanted to spend time together. You'll have access to a number of us extension professionals to ask tree questions, but then we'll go through a series of these tips that we think are really important so that you can care for your trees well.
That's nice. I like that you clarified too that you can be a professional or you can just be somebody who wants to take care of your trees. Because again, I'll reiterate, I think a lot of people think that's probably not for me, but it is, and it can be.
It is, and I want to, I guess, clarify too. If you care for trees, like you don't have to be using tools either. You could be an advocate. You could be speaking for the trees in our community. You could be someone that just wants to know more about trees. You don't have to be directly involved with caring for trees. If you just want to know more, and we think it's pretty affordable, $50 if you want continuing education units as a professional, or $10 just for you know, a citizen that wants to participate.
Very cool. Yeah, so there are 6 webinar sessions, and they span 2 Wednesdays a month from January through March, and they cover a lot of topics, 2 topics, and is what I was reading. And something I think is really cool is that you're doing something new this year. Each one's going to conclude with a discussion of tree health issues based on photos that attendees submit.
Yes.
So if you are somebody who has something in your yard or in one of your trees and you want to get your question answered, you can submit that photo, and then you guys will all chat about it.
Yep.
That's really helpful.
And we think that's the most useful part, honestly, of the session, is the real world evaluation of trees, because we see so many different issues and we want to help people.
Awesome. Well, to explore more horticultural plant websites, visit extension.illinois.edu/plants. And if you poke around on there, you're also going to find the website to sign up for the webinar as well. As always, Emily, thank you so much for coming in today, and just all the examples, super helpful.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.